You got this already.
Hi, my name is Sarah Boyd. I'm one of the 22 school nurses who serve all 37,000 students in Oakland. We are furious about this tentative agreement. Our biggest ask was a caseload reduction. Not only did we not get a caseload reduction, we actually got a caseload increase. They're going to give us $50 a day more starting May 2020 to take on all 30 schools that have no nurse whatsoever right now. So 30 schools divided amongst 22 nurses. And I mean, if this is the way they think they're going to keep nurses in Oakland, I don't know what they're smoking.
Well, you were at the rally. They had a contingent of nurses that they were going to fight for a nurse in every school. What happened?
Yeah. I don't know, but the night before the TA was released at the Rep Council, we were assured that caseload was still on the table. So I don't know what happened in those 16 hours between, yes, the caseload is definitely on the table, to no. You have an increased caseload, guess what?
And what does that mean for the kids not having enough nurses?
Well, it's already a critically dangerous situation with so few nurses, and it gets even, I don't know how much more critical it can get. I don't know what needs to happen for the district to understand that there are not enough nurses in this district to serve this community.
And it seems like the strike was building. Picket lines were very strong, community support. Why shut it down now?
Exactly. And how hard is it going to be to get that momentum back if we vote this TA down? Because a lot of people are out there celebrating. KQED talked to one of my colleagues this morning and they're like, yay, great win. And we're like, no, horrible. And they were like, what? So.
What's your name?
My name is Sarah Boyd. I'm the school nurse at Oakland Tech, 2,000 students, 200 staff.
And how long have you worked for the union?
For the district, about 12 years.
What's going to happen today?
I hope we have I'm sure we're going to have a very lively discussion in Rep Council, and I hope we can get the message out to teachers, members, and the community that this strike is not over.
This is Dennis Nelson. I'm a home instruction teacher for the district and the chief negotiator for the OEA bargaining team. This is a Rep Council meeting that's open to all members, and we'll be looking at the tentative agreement and answering questions, engaging in debate. The Rep Council will then make a decision whether or not to approve the agreement, actually to recommend an approval of the agreement. The Executive Board recommended an approval last night. Rep Council also has the responsibility of passing on whether they're approving or disapproving of the piece to our membership. So it's a recommendation for whether to vote yes or no, and that's what we'll be looking for today.
And the nurses seem to be pretty unhappy, some of them. What's your feeling about that?
Yeah, I think there's certainly some dynamics with that particular piece in terms of how we deal with a nurse retention crisis. We've certainly been focused on the teacher retention crisis, but we have retention crises for pretty much anyone working with student supports, and we've tried to get contract language that supports each of them. I think the nurse certainly wanted.
Susie LeBaron.
What do you think about the strike and what's happened and where we are right now?
That's a really big question.
It's been a very powerful strike. The community.
Powerful strike. I think that we've had a tremendous amount of community support, and we feel that. I'm a teacher. The first thing that I worked at Oakland High School, and I was part of the group that did the first walkout in December. I think the first thing I woke up to this morning was one of my senior students who called me to say that she and a whole group of students had gotten together and read the contract, and they didn't think it was a good deal.
You're getting direction from your students.
Well,
they read it. They were concerned enough to read the contract.
This is about the students, and this is not solely about teacher salary, and I think that's the complicated thing for people to understand. I think that if we accept the contract the way it is right now, we're reverting to saying, yeah, it really was about teacher salaries, and it's not. The concessions, for example, for nurses and for other kinds of critical positions in the school aren't being met.
Are you concerned about that? Staffing with nurses and others?
Of course, we're always concerned. We've got 22 nurses for 37,000 students, right, with asthma and diabetes and migraine headaches and all sorts of other issues. So, and that's not an adequate ratio. So I think what's going to happen right now, I think there's going to be a considerable number of teachers who are not going to vote for this until we see some of that stuff cleaned up.
How long have you worked in the school?
I've worked at Oakland High for 7 years.
What's your name?
Sharon Thomas from West Oakland Middle School. We're discouraged and we're trying to find out more information so we can make informed responses.
Had pretty strong picket lines.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we just want to find out as much as we can before we make a decision. But right now, it's up in the air because it doesn't seem like enough to support the kids to succeed in the way that they need to succeed with the resources. It's very discouraging because all we want to do is give the students what they need to succeed. And we're powerless without the money and the resources. And they're our future, so why aren't we working in that direction? I'm a little discouraged.
I'm Dr. Isaac Emmerich. I'm a SDC math teacher at Bret Harte Middle School. And I'm here today because I want to see what the message is about various aspects of the agreement, and we have a lot of serious concerns, but we want to see how everyone addressed them and see what the lay of the land is.
And you had a lot of strength, these rallies and marches. I mean, it's pretty strong.
It was awesome to see the community come out. The students came out. We had people from all over the country coming out to help us out. And we're actually, my wife and I are originally from West Virginia, and so we got it from West Virginia too. We brought our contingent over. But it was a groundswell of support, and even if this does pass, that this is only the beginning of trying to reform some of the issues within education.
And California has a big budget surplus, $13 billion, $21 billion. It's the supermajority of the Democrats in the legislature. Why aren't they passing more money for education?
That is a good question, and if this does pass or doesn't pass, we're still going to be taking our fight to Sacramento to make sure that they are prioritizing education.
John Halcomb, teacher at Prescott.
And what do you think about the strike and what's happening here today? I mean, you think that there have been some gains in, as far as solidarity?
No, it's all a ploy. It's all part of the mass conspiracy, Democratic Party conspiracy. That's what it is.
How have they conspired?
Our union is directly connected to the Democratic Party, right? Democratic Party is not a lover of labor. They've shown it. And so this mess that they're giving us is just a waste of time. Vote no on it.
And the privatization of schools, you're saying the Democratic Party has been behind that?
That great president, Barack Obama, massive private charter person, him and Arnie Duncan. Of course, Arnie Duncan never taught a day of school in his life, but that doesn't stop anybody, right? But Obama got a pass on this stuff. So you want to point some fingers at that nice brown guy, all right? And while you're pointing the fingers, don't forget all them wars he started back in the day.
And Jerry Brown on Oakland, what did he do to the schools?
Jerry Brown? I don't know. What did Jerry Brown do? I can't remember.
2 military schools in Oakland?
Oh, yes. They're still here, though, right? One of them. Both of them. Still here. But this is a farce, you know?
You think that the union could have won if they'd stepped up and continued the struggle?
I think the union could have won with the right union leadership, all right? So the leadership we have now is clearly connected to the board and all of its mess. And we know Oakland has been a mess for, 30, 40 years. So nothing good is coming out of this. Nothing good.
And what is going to be the results if this is accepted by the membership?
I don't know. I hope people stand up and we get our asses right back on the line, and we stay there until this is done, right? Stay there for as long as it takes, because if we don't do it in Oakland, it ain't gonna happen anywhere. We're gonna get screwed just like LA did, right? I think some people get excited about the notion of we're on strike, and it's because you're on strike, something's supposed to happen. Well, sometimes you stay on strike for a few days, sometimes you stay on a strike for 30 days, sometimes you stay on strike for 2 months.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, right? This is what labor looks like. So for those who are not interested or have never seen a labor movement, welcome to the effing Terror Dome. This is what it is. You might get broken poor, but that's what it looks like, right? You're not fighting for your salary, your ability to stay in one of these high-priced apartments. You are fighting for the future of your children.
Hey, my name is Patricia Segura. I'm a teacher at Fremont High School.
And talk about this struggle, what's happened, and it's brought out tremendous community support and solidarity.
It's been a historical movement. We've fought hard, everybody in the community, not just the teachers, the students, the parents, everybody, the support that we had from the city of Oakland, the support that we had from Rob Bonta's office, the support from Tony Thurman. It's just been astonishing how much support we've gotten. I believe this is a great TA. We're going to continue pushing on school closures and anti-charter movement because those are huge issues we need to continue. But all the gains that we got on our TA, they're setting a new precedent for other school districts. So I'm very happy to have been part of this bargaining team, and we'll continue fighting for our Oakland schools.
And the state legislature could put a ban on charters, co-locations. Yes. I mean, should that be a demand of the CTA and the union? Stop now all charters, all co-locations?
I believe that's what we're aiming for, and our union will stand firm on no charter schools.
My name's Erin.
What do you think about the contract?
I'm disappointed. We worked really hard. I wanted a lot. I wanted to get more.
What's your name?
I'm not sure if that's the best we can get or not, though.
I'm Becca.
What do you teach?
CCPA Humanities.
Very powerful strike. I mean, what are your concerns about the strike vote, and also what do you think the result of the strike has been?
Yeah. I mean, I think our union is unrecognizable from the union we had 6 months ago. It's absolutely beautiful to start picket lines. I've never heard of a teacher strike that had 97% of students stay home and families be in support. 95% of teachers were out. Our number of scabs was super low. So I'd say people did really amazing work, and it was beautiful. The contract's not everything that we deserve and everything our kids deserve. We weren't going to win that in this contract. It's stacked against, a lot of things are stacked against us. The state underfunds education, doesn't care about black and brown kids, doesn't care about teachers. There's a feminized position, and it's just not respected in our society. And so it's not everything we deserve, and I really think with the power we had,
a tremendous movement going. I mean,
with the power we had, and it's what we could get right now. And I hope that all of these leaders that came out of this are ready to go to the state, go to our city, and really keep fighting for schools. And we have community organizations talking about education that have never talked about education before and who want to partner with us. And so I think there's tons of potential going forward. This is a hard moment. There's going to be division, but I hope we come out the best thing we want out of this contract is the power that members feel.
My name is Laura Rice Hall, and I'm one of the substitute teachers. And I know it's a rep council. We're talking about the tentative agreement, and which I know I'm going to vote no on it.
Why is that?
Because we're not siding with the nurses. Have gotten the shaft. They haven't gotten any lowered caseloads. And I work a lot in special ed. I'm a substitute teacher, and I'm vice chair of the subcaucus. And I work a lot in special ed and work with the nurses, and we shouldn't do that to the nurses, and we've got to side with everybody.
That affects the kids if they don't have nurses.
Right, it definitely does.
Why did they do that to the nurses?
I don't know. I think the district doesn't think about anything.
Mark Aragood, Equal Opportunity Now, by any means necessary, Civil Rights Caucus, and a secretary of the OEA.
So you're here today. There's a vote on the contract?
Yes, there's a vote by the Rep Council on our recommendation, whether yes or no, on the tentative agreement.
And what do you think about the contract?
I think the tentative agreement has to be voted down, that it does not fulfill the promise that we've made to the community to fight against the school closing, to fight to stop the spread of the charters. The so-called gains are really smoke and mirrors. The wage increase, most of it literally takes place in the last year of the contract, and some of it at the last minute of the contract. The class size maximums are insufficient, the reduction in class size, and there's really nothing for special education, for counselors, for nurses. So we can do far better. The community is with us. We can continue to build and really win in this strike, and that's what we need to do.
Well, they say they have a 6-month moratorium on closures. You believe that? What is that about?
There's actually a 5-month pause. It's not called a moratorium because they're just pausing to get the OEA on board to figure out which schools to close. We already know the community does not want to close schools, and 5 months puts us in the middle of the summer, which is exactly when they like to close schools anyway.
And the issue of charters, approval of charters and money, public money going to charters, do you believe any public money should be going to charters?
Absolutely not. We should stop any more authorization of charter schools and bring charter schools back into the public school system.
Rep from Allendale, Liana Nelson-Smith. And I'm just really late because I went to the wrong place. And just trying to get in there to kind of just figure out what's really going on. I read over the contract, and there are some definite wins and there's some definite areas for improvement, but it is bargaining. So it's going to be a give and take. So when I go in there right now, I'm representing my school. So I can't necessarily vote the way I would personally vote. I have to think about the school as a whole. So
Your school's been pretty strong?
Oh, yeah. 11 kids out of 400, so our parents are behind us, and all 22 teachers out on the line every day.
You had a very powerful strike, a lot of people on the picket lines.
Yeah, there is a lot of people on the picket line, very powerful. You know, we're just coming in here just to look at what the district is offering and make a recommendation for what we should do next.
What's your name?
My name's Catherine Gibson.
Where are you teaching? Or
I teach at Greenleaf.
what's been going on the picket lines there? Is it pretty strong?
It's very strong. We've had one student, I want to say on Friday, I think it was just one student, but it's been very strong. But we have a lot of community support. We had a very strong solidarity school. So it was really strong at my school site.
I'm against the contract. I'm against this TA. And, you know, I think I was just at a meeting of people. We're all talking about it. And whatever we do, though, I mean, we have to be prepared for two scenarios: that people accept it, in which case we have to figure out how we're moving forward, and we have to harness the energy that was, you know, that has been amazing and incredible because what we've done in the last 7 days. And in the event that we're actually able to, that there's a really strong majority of people who want to reject it, as I do, then, and I'm not going to go into all the reasons of it now because I don't have time, then we have the possibility of going forward and winning. In West Virginia, they told the leaders of their union, and our leadership is very different from that state bureaucracy. It's very different. And
so the CTA is playing a different role
I'm
here?
not talking about the CTA. I'm talking about our local leadership. But yes, there's CTA influence is very much part of it. But I'm just saying it's a different situation here locally. But I think that they did say no after 4 days and stayed out for another 5 and achieved something. That's all I got to say for now. Thank you.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Craig Gordon. I'm a teacher. I've taught in Oakland since 1990. I'm currently a substitute, and I've been very involved with OEA for a long time. Was cluster lead of the sites and the picket captains and picket lines around here in West Oakland.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Adie Hogue. I am a OEA rep at East Oakland Pride Elementary School. I'm also an organizer with the Eon BAM caucus here in Oakland and nationally. And I'm encouraging people to vote no because I think that we can win much, much more. And particularly around the issue of school closures, I just don't think it's enough for a school board member to bring a resolution to pause school closures until July, which is probably when they were going to close them anyways. And in looking at the raise and thinking about what they're offering what they were offering before, and then 6% after they plan to close 20 schools in East Oakland. And that's just East Oakland. And I'm just not prepared to, take, what I feel are pretty minimal gains, and take a raise at the expense of our schools. And so I just, I want people to to know and feel that we are strong, that we are encouraging people to vote no because we feel we can win more. But whatever the vote, I'm going to keep fighting, and I know Oakland is going to keep fighting. And we saw our strength. We can win more.
What's going on?
What's going on? My name is Jack Gerson. I'm a retired Oakland teacher, former member of the Executive Board and Bargaining Team. I'm here to listen to the discussion of the OEA Rep Council on a TA, which does not look extremely good to me.
So it seemed like there was a lot of momentum, tremendous support, solidarity on the picket lines. Why did they get a contract that doesn't meet what you think should be required for a contract?
Well, I wasn't inside. I would guess there was a lot of pressure from Democrats reflecting the corporate interests that control the school board and fund them and have influence with unions statewide and national like NEA and CTA. And I think Tony Thurmond, the newly elected Superintendent of Public Instruction of California, who professes to be a friend of Oakland Public Education and OEA, probably acted as the honest broker to make this deal, which seems to have taken nurses and floated them directly down the river into a hurricane sea.
They say there's going to be a moratorium on charters. Do you think that, or closures?
They're going to have a resolution asking for a moratorium and a pause on school closures for 5 months, which by my calculations takes us to the first week of August, which is a fine time for the board to close the schools. I also understand that the board intends to cut about 150 classified positions, mostly lower paid.
And what does that mean to the SEIU 1021, which is supporting the picket line?
I have heard a rumor that the SEIU and FSME local leaders were consulted and agreed to it. They get knock-on Me Too raises, the other unions do, but I think these people think that they can't actually fight it, and the fact is the money is there, and more than the money being there, if we show force, the teachers in the community and so on, like in the red states, the money will be there.
And the dockers were talking, or there was talk about going to the docks to support this struggle?
Yes, I've been involved in that organizing, and there was an overwhelming vote at Rep Council to go to the port, and I think that if they did go to the port, I think one of the reasons this thing settled so soon is they don't want us messing around their port.
They don't want the port shut down.
That's right, because how do you get to a school board which are largely puppets of the big corporate interests and billionaires? You demonstrate the power to the masters. You shake up, no business as usual. That's what happened in Occupy Oakland. Gene Kwan and the Port Commission and they were all saying, oh, no, we don't want that. We don't want. So that go to downtown Oakland to Shorenstein City Center, where the real estate speculators hang out, and really show some force. Shut the city down, because that's what would be required. They clearly don't want to give without a show of force. So what they will do is give if there is a show of force.
I'm Erin Ronhabdi. I'm from East Oakland Pride Elementary School. I'm here honestly just to get a greater sense of where people are with the TA and what is reasonable and what's not, and like really even what parts of it mean, because it's all in contract language that I don't think just like teachers totally understand. And so I'm mostly here just like as the picket captain from my school to get the answers to the questions that they have, to figure out like whether this deal really represents what we want, like as a union and as a school or not, and to make an informed decision.
And you had very strong picket lines, tremendous community support. Were you surprised by the kind of support you had in this?
Yes and no. I think like I was surprised mostly by like how much of a connection, like with our community we have. I think I was touched by that. I think it was really like energizing in a lot of ways. I think that like what's happened with this strike is that it's spoken, especially like I'm at a school in East Oakland, it's spoken to people's like desire for change. And really like I think it has the ability and the potential to start a greater movement that's going to mean a lot to a lot of people, just in terms of like structural things that we need to change about education that this contract negotiation can't even possibly address.
I want to fight for public education. This is not about a teacher increase. It's about saving our schools. It's about supporting our communities. And they came out. And this is a sellout. I'm sorry.